covering all of South Texas. This is KIII's 3 Eyewitness News, consistently the #1 rated newscasts, with Joe Gazin, Maclovio Pedez, weather, and Dan McReynolds, sports.
A protest in Kingsville today over some shocking comments allegedly made by a police officer. A Texas prison inmate gets even more time behind bars following a local trial. And byproducts of the Army's chemical weapons may be closer than you think. Good evening, everyone. Those stories and more in just a moment. But first, a long-awaited final audit from the Texas Education Agency has just been released to the public. It's a detailed look at how some high-ranking officials in the CCISD were spending your tax money. And as we already know, many people have found that information to be pretty disturbing. Steve Yoakum received one of the first copies of that report today, and he joins us live in the studio. Steve?
Joe, this is a massive amount of paperwork, and to be honest, most of what you see here is documentation, copies of receipts and so forth. But one of the findings in the attached report is that the district failed to maintain adequate documentation of its expenditures. On page 4 of the report summary, under the heading Travel Policy Conditions, paragraph B states, quote, in several instances, the superintendent's travel reimbursements are questionable because the superintendent's travel report does not contain a complete accounting, including costs for transportation, meals, and other costs paid from all sources, including American Express, end quote. On the following page, under the heading Recommendations, paragraph A says the district's policies and record-keeping practices should be reviewed and amended. Now, the audit doesn't appear to offer any truly new revelations or provide any drastic policy change recommendations. Dr. Abe Saavedra told me today the report is just about what he'd been expecting.
Everything that's there has been publicized for about 6 months now in this community, so I don't believe there's anything there that the community doesn't know about at this point.
And Saavedra also says the controversial New York trips actually resulted in millions of dollars in grants for the CCISD.
Yes, I'm sure the district has spent whatever amount of money to travel to New York several times as we've met with those people. But yes, I would agree that the return was pretty substantial.
Over the next few days, lots of people on both sides of this issue will be going through this report with a fine-tooth comb. Of course, a court of inquiry is still scheduled for March 13th, so even though the audit is complete, the controversy over CCISD travel and entertainment expenses is still a long way from over and done with. Joe.
Steve, thanks very much. In Kingsville, a student at Texas A&M University is accusing a police officer there of using racial insults during a recent traffic stop. Our Sally Narvaez talked with the student who was leading a protest in front of the Kingsville City Hall today.
I have to stand my rights, not just for me, but for the whole people.
Mauricio Lopez, a student at Texas A&M Kingsville, says he's speaking out against racial comments allegedly made to him by a Kingsville police officer. Lopez says he was pulled over on February 3rd for not wearing a seatbelt. Here's what he claims the Kingsville police officer told him.
You are just like you all think, look, and smell the same. And at that point, he went and ran a check on my license. I looked over at my cousin, and I told him, hey, what this guy's doing isn't right.
Today, Lopez and a group of supporters gathered at one of Kingsville's busiest intersections, Clayburgh and 6th Street, to protest the alleged incident. Mauricio Lopez says by protesting, he's hoping the Kingsville Police Department will take his allegations seriously and launch a full investigation.
Our department does not allow for racial slurs.
Lieutenant Judy Hayes with the Kingsville Police Department says an investigation into this matter is underway. She says any type of verbal abuse by officers is against department policy.
And it's a situation where we even get involved in training every other year. The officers are required to have training on cultural diversity and sensitivity, and we back this up.
For now, the officer remains on duty. And Lieutenant Hayes says the results of the investigation will determine if any action will be taken against him. Meanwhile, Lopez says he hopes the Texas Rangers will get involved and wants a public apology from the officer. In Kingsville, Sally Narvaez, 3 Eyewitness News.
Detectives in Robstown are looking for a man involved in a brutal stabbing. It happened earlier this month. They say 25-year-old Roel Garcia stabbed his 17-year-old ex-girlfriend 7 times. She has since been released from the hospital. Police say Garcia may still be in the Robstown area, but he's considered armed and dangerous. If you have information on his whereabouts, you can contact Robstown Police at 387-3531. Corpus Christi police are looking for a suspect in connection with a robbery outside a local bar. The 45-year-old victim told police it happened around 12:30 this morning in the 800 block of Staples, that he was in his car, which was parked outside a bar called the Hidden Door. He says he jumped out of the vehicle after the suspect hit him, pulled a knife on him, then stole his wallet and jewelry. He says the suspect then drove away in his car. Here's a description of who police are looking for: a light-complected Hispanic male in his 30s, about 5'6". At the courthouse, a split decision today for a prison inmate on trial accused of gang activity and retaliation. The jury found 25-year-old Jesse Hernandez guilty of the retaliation charge and sentenced him to 20 years. But the same jury acquitted him on a charge of organized criminal activity. Prosecutors say while he was in prison, he made death threats against his ex-wife, who testified against him during his murder trial. Hernandez is already serving a life sentence plus 50 years in prison for the murder of Luis Luna back in 1998. The judge stacked his 20-year sentence, which means Hernandez will not be eligible for parole for at least 35 years. The Corpus Christi police are completing the final phase of a project aimed at taking them well into the 21st century. All the officers are being trained on laptop computers that will soon be installed in all the patrol cars. The first phase of the project involved putting automatic vehicle locator systems in the city's police and fire and rescue vehicles, plus the RTA buses. By the way, the cost for all this comes to about $5 million. Part of that is coming from a federal grant. Now, police say those laptop computers will benefit everyone by reducing their response time in the event of an emergency, reducing it by at least 30%. Melissa Lanier is live in the newsroom tonight with more on that.
So the faster police learn about your problems, the sooner they can get there. How's it done? Technology.
Right now, when police respond to your 911 call, the average emergency response time is less than 5 minutes. Not bad, but thanks to these laptop computers, they could soon be responding in even less time.
It will allow for voiceless dispatching, where the dispatch messages will be sent or transmitted via the computer.
Voiceless dispatching cuts out radio communication, which can sometimes be garbled, wasting precious time as dispatchers repeat addresses or other information. Computers also give cops instant access to all local, state, and national criminal information databases.
It will also allow the officers in the field to make computer inquiries as to wants and warrants and any other information that we now enjoy here in the police department. They will have ready access to that.
And ready access means better service for you and a more efficient police department.
That's something that we ought to be very proud of, that we are there, and we continue to explore other ways of policing here in this community to make it a better community.
Those computers should be installed in all Corpus Christi patrol cars within the next 6 weeks. Joe, back to you.
Thanks, Melissa. Still to come on Eyewitness News, how goes the repairs on the Murray Road pipeline?
And what does the military want with this local chemical treatment and disposal facility? I'm Holly Ames. A live report is coming up.
Later in the newscast, a different way to teach kids the value of teamwork. Other news, a 3-month pilot project is set to begin in May here in Corpus Christi that will treat and dispose of wastewater that is the product of neutralizing chemical weapons. It's all part of the Army's effort to dispose of those weapons. Holly Ames of our staff joins us live from where that processing and disposal will take place. Holly?
Well, Joe, this is the G&I Group facilities located on Greenwood Drive. Now, G&I is the parent company of Disposal Systems of Corpus Christi. Now, officials with G&I say this process is very safe, and residents have no reason to worry. They say this water is neutralized waste from the destruction of chemical weapons, and that process takes place in Utah. Once the wastewater is processed here, officials say the product is salt water, carbon dioxide, and steam. Now, the salt water is what will be disposed of here by pumping it about a mile underground here at G&I. Even with those assurances, some people who own land nearby are still worried about the project.
Increasing property value out there, and then of getting leaks. If that stuff starts leaking, it's going to kill everybody big enough to die.
It's all in 55-gallon drums. Each drum is overpacked in a 95-gallon drum just to be extra safe. And there's really nothing that can happen. It's not going to burn. It's not going to explode. It's just a very, very safe process.
Also, keep in mind that this facility is regulated by the Texas Natural Resource Conservation Commission and the Environmental Protection Agency. And again, this project is only a pilot project, and if all goes well, another facility, one 10 times the size of this one, will be built, but not here. It will be built in Newport, Indiana. Reporting live from the G&I Group facility on Greenwood, I'm Holly Ames. Joe, back to you.
Thanks, Holly. Here's an update on the Mary Roads pipeline repairs in Plaza, just south of Victoria. Crews are said to be working on the last weld to stop a leak there. The hope is that the problem will be completely fixed tomorrow. Crews are also on the site of a suspected leak near Woodsboro. City water officials say workers are in the process of digging down to that pipe. They say it will take longer than normal because this particular area is surrounded by high-pressure gas lines. The extent of the problems there won't be known until workers are able to take a look at that pipe. If you'd like to get a glimpse of what a cowboy's life was like 100 years ago, then you might want to head to Kingsville this weekend. The 8th annual South Texas Ranching Heritage Festival got underway today. Real-life cowboys are serving up some popular cowboy meals like stew and camp bread. There's also horsehair braiding and blacksmithing demonstrations.
This is basically a celebration of the ranching heritage that is here in South Texas. And it's a celebration because of this is the place where the cowboy was born. Campo, which is a camp.
Tonight's activities at the Connor Museum on the A&M campus include cowboy storytelling and a mariachi festival from 7 to 10. And more on the festival tonight at 10 o'clock on our newscast. Maclovio is out of the studio tonight. In fact, he is at the Water Garden in the Bayfront area of downtown Corpus Christi to tell us about, I think, a front that we were talking about that's coming in, right, Matt?
Well, I'm looking for it. But, Joe, before we talk about weather, you and I are supposed to be in Kingsville tomorrow, but I forgot what we were supposed to do. Do you remember?
I thought you knew. No, we've got to go down and do that, the celebrity penning. I think they're going to have us herd cattle into a pen, and we don't get the benefit of being on horseback. So
I mean, that's ridiculous. Calf penning on foot. Now, that's not done. I mean, that's not a cowboy thing.
I think they're trying to take us down a little bit. It'll work.
I think we will be down there, probably rolling in the mud in the arena. Anyway, folks, we're waiting for our frontal system to move through South Texas, and it should be here any minute now. It will bring us some cooler weather for the weekend. Up north, they did get some shower activity. We didn't get much. We'll have your full forecast for the weekend coming up. We're live downtown at the Bayfront Convention Center. We're here because at 5 o'clock we had an interview with Jerry Jeff Walker. Those of you who have ever been to Austin know who he is. Tonight is the Fiesta de los Niños, Coke Industries' major fundraiser for the benefit of Driscoll Hospital, and Jerry is performing. I'd invite you down here, but the thing is sold out, and it should be a great night and certainly a wonderful charity for South Texas. Let's do a little bit of weather. We've got some change in the weather, folks. It won't be quite as warm as we get into the weekend. Temperatures today got up into the 80s. Our current temperature is 77, but we managed to get up to 86 degrees. 68 was our low last night, and we're supposed to be around 70 degrees for this time of the year. And believe it or not, for Saturday, our high temperature is forecast to be 70 degrees. So here's our situation. A big storm that is rolling out of the Central Plains is now moving up into the Ohio Valley. Snow from Chicago all the way to Buffalo, New York. They're going to have problems. As far as Texas is concerned, we have a weak front just to the north of us. I shouldn't say too weak, but it's not likely to trigger any thunder shower activity. It is a front that is around San Antonio and should be moving through here about midnight. You'll notice when the winds shift around. As you can see right there off of Southern California, there's another storm, and that one will be moving into our area by the time we get to Tuesday, hopefully bringing us a better chance for some shower activity. Across Texas today, mostly sunny for north and west. South Texas, of course, sort of cloudy, and with that front moving down, we may actually see a shower or two in the extreme northern portions of our area later tonight, basically from Victoria over to Houston. Forecast map for minimum temperatures tonight. We're looking for the 50s. We haven't seen the 50s at night in quite some time. Look at the Panhandle. They'll be down into the 30s, and tomorrow we're only looking for a high of 69 degrees, which is rather refreshing, wouldn't you say, after being in a string of 80-degree days. On Saturday, the front passes through. Cooler air builds in. We'll have a northeast wind bringing us cooler temperatures for Saturday and Sunday. Folks, we got a terrific weekend for anything you have planned outdoors. At this point in time, the next rain system won't be through here until Tuesday of next week. So here's our forecast. Partly cloudy, breezy and cooler tonight. Winds shifting from the south to the northeast, 10 to 20 miles an hour, probably around midnight. And our low temperature dropping into the 50s. Not exactly bone-chilling cold, but it's cooler than it has been. High temperature tomorrow after the morning clouds burn off should get up to around 66 to about 70 degrees. The northeast winds will make it feel very fresh. We'll have 3 ties for tomorrow, but because of the shifting winds and the strong northeast winds, good possibility we'll have a small craft advisory up for tomorrow. So boaters, probably on Sunday will be a better day if you really need to get out there. 5-day forecast, breezy on Friday, cold front tonight. Saturday, cooler and breezy. High temperatures staying in the cool side. As we get into next week, we'll watch and wait to see if that Tuesday frontal system coming at us from the southwest will bring us a better chance for some shower activity here in the much-needed coastal bend. That is it live from the Bayfront Convention Center. And, Joe, we're going to push in to the Water Gardens. A lovely view on a Friday afternoon for getaway day for everybody in South Texas. Have a good one. Back to you, Joe.
Okay, Mac, thanks very much. Moving on to some other news now. Local middle school students, you could say, were learning the ropes today while having some outdoor fun. About 225 kids from Hamlin Middle School spent the day at Baker Middle School to try to have a try, that is, at their ropes course. It involves several training exercises that the group has to learn to do as a team. In the end, the kids are supposed to learn confidence and the value of teamwork.
It's fun because, like, the rope I want to go on, and then climbing the wall and stuff, like, it's teamwork, and you got to do it like that.
If you don't trust them and you mess up, then you're going to fall and hurt yourself and the other person. But if you trust them, then it's going to be real easy.
That's the lesson. Baker Middle School routinely opens up that ropes course for schools throughout the CCISD so the students can use it. Dan McReynolds up next with all the sports after this.
I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on there. Whoa! Oh, look out! We got trouble. This is going to hurt.
A real fender bender in rush hour traffic at Daytona. We'll have an update next on Sports.
And it's time for sports. Dan McReynolds is here now, and boy, this video requires some watching over and over again to see what happened.
Oh, Jeff Bodine, I used to drink coffee when I worked in North Carolina. Great guy from New York State, has had a little bit of hard luck in racing, although some great years too, and today was one of those that, well, a little hard luck, but a whole lot of good luck involved in this, Joe, as you'll see. It's being called one of the most spectacular accidents ever at Daytona, as veteran NASCAR driver Jeff Bodine and other drivers, about a dozen fans, were injured during the running of the Craftsman truck race at the Speedway. This video pretty much speaks for itself. Watch Bodine go into the fence. We're not done yet. Incredibly, and again, you go back to the way those NASCAR folks build their trucks and cars. This, by the way, was the first truck race at Daytona. This was total demolishment. Watch Bodine move his hand. He broke his cheek and his arm and a wrist, but otherwise he's okay. His engine continued about another 200 yards down the track, but apparently everybody is generally okay. What kind of damage was done? Well, take a look at the fence. These things are doubly reinforced, especially after the action at Charlotte last year. It simply peeled that fence. A couple of fans suffered some broken bones and a slight concussion, but generally everybody is okay after a wild wreck at Daytona. And oh, by the way, the 57th annual Golden Gloves boxing tournament will continue tonight at Coliseum with another full night of action. They had some great bouts last night. This is the one last night between Thomas Pena and Samuel Silvas. We'll have heavyweights take the ring later on tonight, a couple of bouts as a matter of fact. 18 on the card, and again, the winners tonight will move on to the finals tomorrow night at the Coliseum. Close to 600 young swimmers are in town to compete this weekend in the annual Tags qualifying swim meet at the Natatorium. Unbelievable competition. This is just not Corpus Christi swimmers. These are swimmers from all over the South Texas region who qualified with outstanding times. In fact, some of the best times in the nation. So this competition, which will continue again today, tomorrow, and on Sunday, will provide some outstanding swimming for fans who enjoy close competition. Well, a busy evening this evening as the girls' high school playoff basketball continues. Take a quick look through some of these games up at Three Rivers at Carroll and Churchill. In 4A, interesting matchup. GP will take on Sam Houston at Beeville. Another interesting 4A matchup, too. Allison Beeville at Toloso Midway. Also in 3A, it's going to be Orange Grove and West Oso at Cal Allen at 7:30. Moving right on down, Taft and West Oso at Miller tonight at 7:30. 2A, Fremont Post. That's a good matchup at Mathis. And Awadulce will see action against Lakey, 7:30 in San Antonio. And tonight's edition of Parting Shots featuring the TV3 sharpshooters in action this afternoon in Robstown. Watch Bill Vesey lead the break here. I mean, the fans, they were packed at the junior high. Vesey will take it all the way. One problem here, he's for TV3 and he leads the break the other way for Robstown. Hey, these things sort of happen. Robstown faculty actually got ahead in this game, but Channel 3 using that great defense. Marcus Floyd with the block sets up the great offense. And here we go. Dribbling whiz kid for Robstown. It's the steal. And watch Jason Williams, our morning editor, knew his thing. He had his pretty well, but plays basketball a little bit better, I have a feeling. Pretty good game. We actually won, too, by the way, 47-42. Blew a big lead, but then came back to win.
I think Bill was kind of looking for the camera.
I think so. Yeah, well, that's the idea for anchors. Watch the camera first and the basketball second.
It's the first lesson. Thanks, Dan. Up next, sheriff's deputies helping out in ways you might not expect.
This week on Domingo Live, join Freddie recording artist Atrapado and Increíble, Sunday at 11 on TV3 from the Bayfront Plaza Convention Center.
Coming up tonight at 10 o'clock, another one of the city's cleanup days is set for tomorrow. It's part of the mayor's Stop Trashing Corpus Christi program. But are the efforts really paying off? In other words, is the city really cleaner as a result? We'll look at the impact, and again, that's coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. Finally, this evening, quick final item, the long arm of the law reaching out and touching a couple of deserving organizations in a positive way. The Nueces County Sheriff's Employees Association handed out checks today to Metro Ministries and the Texas Special Olympics. The association gives 25% of their proceeds from an annual Christmas show to charity. That means Metro Ministries and Special Olympics will each get more than $1,000. Good for them. That's going to wrap up the early edition of Eyewitness News. For Dan and Maclovio and the rest of the team, I'm Joe Gazen. We'll see you back here with more at 10.